Hello and welcome to the Temple Mount Podcast. My name is Shogun. Today we are having another session in our ongoing World of Darkness campaign. You can find those previous episodes on our YouTube and BitChute channels, and you can join the Temple Mount Discord server and play for yourself. That being said, welcome back Lucy Fairbrook, Shad Viano Feroth, Newell Boone, and Sid Rogers to Cascadia City, aka G City, Greater Cascadia City. As in the previous episodes, we will begin with a verse from Scripture from Brother Shad.
Ever since our ancestors died, everything goes on as it has since the beginning of creation. But they will deliberately forget that long ago, by God's word, the heavens came into being and the earth was formed out of water and by water. By these waters also, the world of that time was deluged and destroyed. By the same word, the present heavens and earth are reserved for fire, being kept for the day of judgment and the destruction of the ungodly.
So that being said, as we rejoin the Gothic near future atmosphere of Cascadia City in 2027, I will ask Mr. Boone, can you go first and give us your character's memory of the events of last session from your point of view?
I was sitting in my hotel room, minding my own business, and I get a call from the front desk, and I let a fellow up in there, and it happens to be Shad here, and he's a bit of he's dressed in robes and stuff. He's an all right fellow, talking a lot about books and stuff, and later we ended up meeting up with this pretty young, Toreador? Yeah, this pretty young Toreador, Lucy Fairbrooks, and she's about 6'4". She's strawberry blonde hair. She's wearing like a frilly white button-up shirt with tucked into her black jeans, and hugs her in just all the right places. And next thing I know, we're talking. We figure out a plan, and we get in my truck, and then she gets a call from her Cyrus, and next thing you know, we have this kid that talks too much in the back of my truck, and I was almost about to vet wrap his mouth shut.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask Astramia, can you fill in any details from your character's point of view from the last session?
Yes. So I wake up having a dream that was kind of like a post-apocalyptic, terrifying dream. Rivers running with blood, people screaming, terrible storms. And I wake up from that and remember that I have a bunny boy to deliver, Sid Rogers, to my Cyrus. So I get him ready to go. We stop at McDonald's on the way because the kids gotta eat. And we get there and we meet with Elizabeth Fairbrook, my Cyrus, and go into her office where she proceeds to give me directions of the next step that I am to follow, which is meeting up and rendezvousing with Shad and Newell. And essentially I head that direction and introduce myself, and we get into Newell's truck, and we're headed to Gangrel territory, and we have to go pick Sid up on the way. And Newell tried to tie him up, but it's all good. He's sitting in the back now with Shad, Sid is, so that's kind of where we left out.
Thank you. And I'm going to ask Dude Missile to go next, aka Sid Rogers, if you can fill in any of your perspective of the story.
Yeah, so I think what happened was what's her name, Fairbrook, who was Lucy's Cyrus, sent her on her mission, but then told me to stay, and that she had what she described as like an interest, like a tome, a book that might be of interest to me. and then it had turned out that the wine she gave me was like had a sedative in it, so my character was knocked out. He had a weird dream of like a weird like checkerboard kind of land. There was an eye. It looked at him. It seemed to know he was there. There was the pink rabbit was there, and he tried to follow it, but it didn't work. So he went up to the eye, and then he woke up, and he finds himself like tied up and having blood siphoned from him, because I guess his changeling blood is sort of like a delicacy to a vampire. But it wasn't malicious. She didn't take like enough to really do any damage. And then she gave him the book and sent him on his way, and asked him to work with her little vampire hit squad to further their goals. And she said that they'll protect him as well.
Thank you very much. And last but not least, Shad. Can you give us any details that may have been left out so far?
Sure. So last session began for Shad when he awoke after a night of sleep that was frustrating, given his lack of progress on his talisman and his great backlog of research to do. And upon waking up, he realized that his ally and rival across the hall, another Tremere scholar, was murdered. And one of the books that Shad was researching that he gave to Oliver, the now likely deceased Kyne, was also taken along with his execution. And so, informing the necessary individuals within the Ivory Tower, Shad was given some instructions on how to potentially fix the brewing conflicts in the always fragile politics that support the Masquerade. And so he was introduced to Ol-NB, and later became introduced to Astramia, Lucy, and then finally Sid Rogers. Although he had met Sid before and seen Lucy before, the group, including Shad and Nolo, decided to stick together. Although Shad is a little bit confused as to why he's not allowed to feed on Sid, but as for now, they've decided not to do that and to take him along into their budding plan on extracting Michael Williams, Lee 2, while maintaining, while avoiding Cagliostro amongst the gangrels, and also beginning to track down the whereabouts of King Rat, the Sabbat Nosferatu, who's likely, who's one of the many interested, one of the parties who's shown interest in these research notes, and who has, he's a likely suspect given the Sabbat sigils on the wall in Oliver's room and his previous attempts to steal the book.
Thank you very much, everybody. So that brings us to the present night. The current time is approximately 1 a.m., and you are leaving the Cascadia Art Gallery with Sid in the backseat of the car. And you drive along some of the nicer corridors and roads of Cascadia City, lined with elm trees, which now in the summer are, covered in green leaves. You pass over a bridge over the River Rouge, which divides the city in half, and you move towards Gangrel territory. Specifically, you move towards the large urban park known as Wildwood Park, which is a forested community with a few houses, but it's mostly urban forest, elm and oak trees. It takes you about 15-20 minutes to arrive, driving in Noel's large, expensive truck. And pretty soon you enter what you've been informed is the official boundary line of Cagliostro Claw's domain, which is precisely the extent of self-same Wildwood Park. So you pull up to a stop, I'm going to assume on your behalf, I apologize, but on the boundary line of Wildwood Park, which there's no way to drive into here. It's only a footpath. There's a sidewalk leading into Wildwood Park, and there's back lanes that you can drive on, but you can't enter the actual urban forest part except on foot.
Oh, this is the place, Wildwood Park.
We can't drive any further than this. We have to continue on foot.
Yes, I've been here only once recently. There, Cagliostro Litu's grounds were, at least at that time, a deep way in, and there are also werewolves here, from what I currently understand. I wouldn't make much of a guide, though, I don't think. Given the political situation, it may be best for Olenby to go in by himself, or perhaps with a gift of a nice, fresh, sweet little bunny rabbit. Is that right? I say, like, kind of poking and almost tickling Dude Missile. What's your name? Sid Rogers?
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Okay. Yeah, I sort of like make like a kind of sound.
Are you suggesting we sent Sid with Newell?
Well, sure. What else is he gonna do? Stay in here with us?
I mean, I don't think it's safe to send him out there, but I don't know. I guess it could be a good bargaining chip.
Whoa, hang on. I just had a crazy idea. Okay, so you guys have like weird things you can do, right? Like superhero shit, right?
We're not starting wars.
No. What if, and just hear me out on this, what if I could go into the dream of whoever we were targeting and, I don't know, do something? What if I had the power to go into people's dreams? Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be useful?
That's not useful if you don't know that you can actually do these things. Are you on something?
No.
She looks over the chair or the car seat to check to see if he looks like he's intoxicated.
He's got like a Snickers bar in his hand, like it's like half eaten.
That would be interesting, I say, as I kind of like look at the back of my hand and pretend I'm not interested. But that type of illusionary magic, from my reading, has very little impact on the real world. You could affect somebody's mind, but I'm not sure you could do much more than that. And these gangrels, their mind is already gone. For the most part.
I kind of give you a shocked look at that, but I say, regardless, anyways, we're here right now, and they ain't gonna be sleeping anytime soon, I can tell you that much. So, unless they're taking a cat nap, which I know they won't be, that ain't gonna be coming in any useful anytime soon.
Yes,
right.
You're right. They're probably hunting right now as we speak.
Well, Noel, what do you think of the plan? Do you want to take Sid with you?
As much as I'm sure they'd, embrace me with open arms for this bunny boy, I think I'm gonna have to pass for now, and let me just go in on my own, I suppose. Try to, see what's going on.
Fair enough.
Okay.
We'll wait here.
All right. Well, I get out, and because he said there's werewolves, I am totally going to the back of my truck where I have a toolbox, and I'm grabbing a couple items I might find useful against werewolves, and I'm gonna go rush. Not rush. I'm gonna stealth. Through the park. Sniffing around, trying to figure out what's going on, what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, trying to get a whole vibe check of the place, as it were.
All right, so before we do, I'm just going to ask Lucy a question. In real life, what is the current phase of the moon right now?
The moon is waning, question mark? No, we just had a...
It's a waxing gibbous moon. It's becoming fuller.
Yeah. Waxing
Alright.
gibbets. Do you want to know what sign it's
2%
in?
illumination.
Sure, why not?
It is in Libra.
Okay. And that means what in 3 words?
Balance, fairness, diplomacy.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. So there's a waxing gibbous moon?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, so Newell Boone steps out of the truck, telling the rest of the party, or the unlikely assortment of kindred and changelings, to wait in the truck while he goes by himself into the domain of Cogliostro Claw, Wildwood Park. So you set along the sidewalk, and the area where you are is quite dark, but it is lit by occasional street lamps, type things, every certain number of meters. So you can see them kind of stretching off into the distance, and all around you there's sort of a canopy of leaves and branches and trees. The first thing you pass, other than a few houses on your left, is a children's park on your right. Again, the current time is about 1:30 a.m. Now, do you have any preternatural senses? No, you don't. But you can go ahead and roll a perception check.
Okay, let me look where that's at on my sheet. You said perception?
Yeah, perception. We'll say the difficulty of this particular task is 8.
20 minutes after Ol MB goes into the woods, I'm going to slink off myself into the woods and start a, not an inferno, but a bonfire just inside of the tree line by maybe a quarter mile tops, so that it's far enough in that you can't see it from the road, but also far enough in that the smoke would be apparent to somebody who's in there focusing on, or who's roaming through the park.
Okay, so hold on, and because Newell is ahead of you right now, so
Yeah.
he's
Yeah,
walking. walking
Do I have
in
my
front of
alertness
you.
to this?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
I'm actually going to also spend 2 blood points, and I'm gonna use them to focus on my perception and gain 2 temporary pips in focus for the rest of the scene, if that works.
Okay. So you activate the inherent powers of your kindred vitae to sharpen your sensory perception, as Gangrel can especially tap into the preternaturally keen senses of animals like cats and dogs. So you see everything becomes more vivid. You can see every detail on every leaf of every tree. And therefore you also heighten to some degree your preternatural senses, and so your instincts, sort of the hairs on the back of your neck, stand up, which is not a literal thing that happens, but that's the feeling that you get. Something uncanny is happening here, and you begin to notice that although there's no breeze and no wind whatsoever, one of the children's swings is swinging back and forth as though there was someone on it, but there's nobody visibly on it. And you almost think you can hear like a faint pitter-patter of feet, and you actually notice grass getting depressed by little feet, but again, invisibly running off around the park.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and make my roll. You said difficulty 8?
Yeah.
Okay, or was that basically the roll?
Well, yeah, sorry, I kind of made an assumption there
That's
that you
fine.
had
I'm still
succeeded.
Yeah, I probably will, but yeah, I succeeded, so we'll just say that was the roll.
Yeah, I got ahead of myself there. My bad. Regardless, you succeeded in noticing the soft sounds of the feet running through the grass and the gentle motion of the swing, which you might have thought was the wind, but none of the leaves are moving.
That gives me pause for a second, and I think, these are modern times. I'm going to go ahead and call Shad's cell phone.
So, Shad, as you are still sitting in the truck with Estremia, your phone rings. Sorry, with Lucy Fairbrook and Sid Rogers.
I answer it.
Yeah, strange thing. You know anything about ghosts? Seems like this children's park over here has some spectral activity, as it were, and I don't know nothing about ghosts. We ain't have much around my parts, but just
Yes,
thought
I
I'd
do
just let you know.
I do recall that park. I was on a mission similar to yours and decided to avoid it. I did see Cogliostro while I was there, though. Keep your eyes out.
All right. Well, I'm just gonna since I got unlimited data, I'm just gonna go ahead and put you on my pocket and leave it on.
That sounds good. I'll be listening, and I kind of motion to Lucy and Sid to give me a moment, step out of the car, and pretend like I'm continuing the conversation as I kind of slowly walk back and forth and begin to enter the wood line, but still inside of the car, of the truck.
Yeah. I just put the phone in my jacket pocket and just kind of leave it there. Well, it's you can hear rustling and pocket what I'm doing, walking around.
So leaving the line on your phone open, Nolo proceeds past the children's park, following the sidewalk deeper into Wildwood Park, leaving the truck behind as it sort of fades out of sight, and you head into deeper into the urban park part of the forest. And you notice a little sign on a particularly dense patch of trees. It's just like a small wooden sign, not anything official. It looks like maybe some kids made it or something. And it says the Witchy Path. And then there's no longer a sidewalk there, but just a footpath leading into the quote-unquote Witchy Path, this dense tangle of trees. There's also the sidewalk, which continues past some of the other houses in this upscale but forested neighborhood.
I'm going to be looking for recent signs of gangrels or werewolves towards the Witchy Path, or whichever way, trying to get a feel for which way I should be heading.
So as you begin walking or looking around, you hear a caw, 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 and 3 crows alight on the trees nearby, just above the sign, among the trees of the Witchy Path, and they're looking at you and kind of tilting their head and cawing. It seems like they're sort of like mocking you or laughing at you.
Do I get a sense that these are like occult birds, or are they just? Do I think they're normal birds? Do I think they're controlled by magic? Do I have any perception of this?
They're not emitting or displaying any obvious signs of being magical creatures, but they're certainly paying close attention to you. All 3 of them are looking at you and cawing at you.
All right,
but you're not able to deduce anything else unusual about them.
And they're by the Witchy Path. What's the sidewalk look like? What's that laid off to?
The sidewalk continues through green fields studded with frequent evergreen trees and other kinds of trees, and there's also some upscale nice houses kind of loosely clustered on the left side of the sidewalk and ahead. So there's sort of a residential area that's lightly forested, and then there's this deeper forested area called the Witchy Path that's more like a strand of trees.
I think to myself, well, they might be hunting now in the residential area, but something about this Witchy Path seems like if I go deeper in, I'm gonna run into something. So I'm gonna head that way. I'm gonna try it.
Okay, so you can go ahead and roll another perception check. The success difficulty again will be 8, needing 1 or more successes.
Okay, I succeeded. I had 3 successes.
What did you roll? Just if you can say. Or does it just do it for you?
Yeah, it says I've got a 10, 9, 8, 6, 6, 4.
Okay. So as you take your first steps towards the more densely forested part of the park, the Witchy Path, you notice quickly with your preternaturally sharp senses one thing. You notice that a nearby tree is gouged by what looks like deep claw marks, as though made by some kind of a large animal had clawed the tree, leaving 4 deep gashes that are bleeding sap. You also get the distinct sense you're being watched by more than just these crows, and as you look around, you notice a presence of sorts, an ominous sense of impending danger or menace, but you can't put your finger on any tangible source.
I stand where I'm at and kind of put my hand on a knife at my belt, and I say, well, you saw me. I'm here to pay my respects to Cagliostro, being a gangrel in town. I kind of say that out loud like I'm talking to someone that I can't see.
You say that out loud?
Yeah.
Okay, so as you do so, one of the crows jumps off the branch that it's sitting on and caws 3 times and flies away. And the other 2 remain there looking at you.
Which direction did it fly away to?
It's flying away deeper into the woods, is what I should say. Like along the path, disappearing in front of you. The other two remain and continue looking at you, but they're no longer cawing at you. They go silent when they hear you speak out loud.
I look at the other two crows and I say, "Hey, you two other crows up there, do I follow him, or does he get someone? He comes and brings them back to me." I kind of just ask that and look at him.
The crows look at you in quizzical silence.
All right, so I go deeper.
Their eyes
into the witchy
inscrutable.
path towards the crow.
So as you go into the witchy path, you leave behind the light of the distant street lights that stood the sidewalk and into a darker area, but there is some light coming from the moon, and you can still see pretty clearly. Nevertheless, it's a dark and narrow path, so the trees and branches kind of cluster in around you. And as you continue going, you notice that there are other trees that have also been marked by an identical series of claw marks or gouges. They're kind of spaced out every few meters or every 10 meters or so. You wouldn't notice them if you weren't looking for them, but you're able to notice that something's been marking these trees. You also smell a strange and unfamiliar scent that you can't place. It smells like some kind of musk or some kind of sweat, but not human sweat. Like you can't place it. Now,
I'm gonna assume in my head that that's werewolf smell. That's what Newell's thinking right now.
You know, with the inner beast in you as a few 100-year-old gangrel, you can tell when another beast has marked its territory, and something is also urinated here nearby that leaves a pungent odor that is not like any, dog that you've ever smelled, but does have some canine resonance that you instinctively recognize. Now, I'm going to jump back to Shad for a second. We'll assume that Newell's been walking for about 15 minutes to get here. What again was your plan? You're starting a fire inside Wildwood Park?
Yep. I'm going to spend just a few minutes clearing the brush a little bit with my unenchanted talisman that I have and just kind of digging in the dirt a few centimeters in a wide circle around, we'll say, a tree and some brush, maybe 2 or 3 trees that are tightly together. And then just clear out kind of the leaves and again dig a circle around it. So hopefully the fire doesn't, go too far, but I'm also not overly concerned with it. With the whole forest catching on fire eventually, I imagine it's a lot of live wood, so it would take a while anyway. But after that few minutes of just clearing that out, I'm gonna use level 4 Path of Flames, Lure of Flames, which is a bonfire, not an inferno, and start it kind of in the center of this little patch that I've cleared.
So just to be clear, you leave the truck with Sid Rogers and Lucy behind, and you go in on your own, following in the same direction that Newell Boone went, but not as far.
No, I'm not going in the same direction of Sim. So if he went straight in, if he went in north, I'm going like east-northeast, if that makes sense.
Okay, so you're heading into a different area, but not going very far?
Right.
Okay. So you don't follow the sidewalk, but you strike out across the green grass, avoiding the, strange children's park that you noticed last time, and instead moving towards a different row of houses. The Wildwood Park residential section is divided into alphabetical sections, Section A, Section B, Section C, etc. So you're now moving towards residential Section B, which, like all of them, is kind of
loose. I definitely don't want to do that.
No?
I definitely don't want to move into
misunderstood. Okay, so you want to go towards the woods.
Yeah, but I don't know how big this area is, but here's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to go inside of the woods that's not on on Newell's escape route, and is also not kind of directly inside of anybody on the road or in a house or anything like that.
Okay, so you move away from some of the more inhabited areas into a dark area where the light of the street lamps does not reach, and where there's a relatively thick cluster of evergreen trees, as well as a lot of undergrowth and some deadfall, which you gather together into a circle, creating fuel for a bonfire, and then you begin channeling the power of your blood and the discipline of thaumaturgy to create an occult fire using your willpower and your mystical discipline. You succeeded. Okay. So you succeed in generating the occult fire and spreading it onto the bonfire that you have prepared, which begins burning brightly and crackling.
I take a
As
deep
you
breath in my nose as the first vapors of the smoke reach my face, and if I notice the bonfire catching, I'm just going to turn and leave and go back to the truck.
As you notice the bonfire catching, you leave and start to go back to the truck.
Yep.
Okay. Now, as you do so, you notice that coming towards you are two relatively young people, although both older than you physically appear, probably in their early 20s. You didn't see them on your way in, but they're seemingly coming straight towards you. They're dressed in like green and brown colors, and their clothing is kind of rough and looks like it's maybe made of hemp. To be honest, they look sort of like hippies in their style of dress. One of them is a young woman with long brown hair, and the other is a man with short brown hair. They actually look similar, sort of like they could almost be brother and sister. And they're walking towards you. They don't have weapons in their hands or any obvious sign of ill intent, but they're coming directly towards you as you are walking away from the fire.
I'll stop and just kind of halt in my tracks and greet them warmly. Good evening, friends. Do I take it correctly that you're planning on enjoying the woods?
The man looks at you with sort of like shock and possibly anger in his eyes as he gestures at the fire, and he thinks, the fire you've created, and he says, "What do you think you're doing, you fool?"
I'm
And the
from the
woman's-
city. It's no problem. There's some wolves here, and we're just clearing some brush in case there's a fire. I'm a researcher at the university, and we have a contract with the city to do this. I can show you my papers if you'd like. They're just back in the parking lot. But for now, please avoid the woods.
The woman looks at you incredulously and says, "Bullshit." He says, you do realize whose territory you've created this fire in. You're going to anger the crazy old man. You've created a fire in his domain.
The crazy old man? I'm sorry, I'm at a loss. Who are you referring to?
Nobody knows his name, but he's the Dark One, the one with red eyes, the one who watches us. He comes.
Perhaps, if I could make a recommendation, I know pot is very trendy nowadays, but it's really not good for the mind. Perhaps you two should go home and get some sleep.
The woman looks at you and says, "Wolves? What did you say about wolves?"
Yeah, there was a wolf sighting here, and we think that there's an overpopulation. So during our routine environmental consulting, we clear the brush, and in this case, we haven't determined what to do with the wolves yet, but unfortunately, it's probably going to be, they're going to be hunted. But for now, just don't go in there. I say a little bit more aggressively at the end.
No, the man says, "This is bad. This is really bad." He runs towards the fire and begins trying to stomp around the edge of it with his foot. And he's like, "Put it out, help me put it out." And the girl looks at you with like a very strange, like long paused look, like directly into your eyes. And then she goes and reaches into her backpack and starts trying to pour a water bottle onto the fire, but it's way too big for her to put out.
I just lean up against the tree and kind of look at them cockeyed. Like,
all right. You hear a loud "bork, bork," and you look up to see a familiar, very large raven, and you have no doubt it's the same large raven that was monitoring you last time you came into this area. And it's looking at you with the firelight sort of in the distance reflecting off its strange black eyes.
I'm going to do a deep bow and gesture to the two humans and turn and walk back to the truck.
As you walk back, you can hear them saying, "Idiot, he's going to get himself killed," as they're trying to put the fire out, but you leave them behind and head back towards the truck.
And I get in and just kind of say, "Sorry, an old friend. How are things in holding down the fort?"
Oh, you're talking to us, huh?
Yeah.
Lucy looks up from her phone as if she's been scrolling on Instagram or whatever social media. I mean, honestly, nothing's happened. I haven't heard from Newell, so I assume everything's going fine. She kind of sniffs air. Why do you smell like smoke?
Do I? I haven't cleaned my robes in a while. How absent-minded of me.
Bullshit, but whatever. Keep your secrets. Kind of.
And you yours.
Mm-hmm. Sid?
Yeah. So now that Shad returns to the truck with Lucy and Sid, I guess we'll jump back to Newell Boone. So you have now proceeded far enough into the Witchy Path, dense cluster of trees that you can no longer see the entrance behind you nor an exit in front of you. You're now in quite a dark place, and it's almost like preternaturally dark. The shadows seem deeper and darker than would be normal in some way that you can't quite put your fingers on. But after a few moments, you begin to sense that you're being watched, and you turn around and see behind you two white dogs. At least you think they're dogs. They're large, kind of look like they may be, some kind of husky, or they may be some kind of wolf dog. They have wolfish features, but they're not wolves. They're some kind of hybrid or dog. They both have blue eyes and pure white fur, and they're following behind you, about 10 feet behind, just watching you with a sort of patient intelligence in their eyes.
All right. And they're giving me, I kind of understand animals a little bit. Like, they're not giving me any vibes like they're about to pounce on me or anything. They're just watching, like you said.
Yeah, they're just watching you with like intelligent, watchful eyes, but they're not showing any signs of aggression. And they're keeping like a distance of about 10 feet behind you. They stop when they notice you turn around and notice them, and just wait.
Well, I say, gentlemen, and I prepare an action if any of them try to jump at me. I have a small silver dagger in my vest that I got out of the truck before I left. That I will use to swipe at one of them if they've come too close. But I just kind of proceed forward along the path.
You continue, and after a few minutes, you hear the soft pad of the dog's feet behind you, following. But before long, you are confronted by the strange sight of a young woman squatting, sort of like in a crouch stance, right directly in the middle of the path, blocking your forward progress. She is probably in her early 20s, an attractive young woman with actually pink hair, and you notice pink eyes, like the iris around her pupils is also pink, and her skin is incredibly pale, like an albino, essentially. She's wearing a black hoodie and black pants and running shoes, and she's wearing black gloves on her hands. The hoodie is pulled down, though, and she's looking at you as though she's waiting for you with a crooked smile on her face.
I'm just gonna throw this out there. You must be Litu, aren't you?
She smiles and says, "That is one of my names. Who are you, and what brings you into our domain?"
Nice to meet you. My name's Newell Boone. I'm just in town for the rodeo, and came to pay my respects to Cagliostro.
She tilts her head to the side and laughs in a strangely sort of manic or just sort of off-putting way, and says, "You've come to speak to Grandfather Claw?"
Grandfather Claw? Yeah, that's what I came to do. Enter his domain, being a gangrel in the city and all. I figured it only right that I take audience with the old man.
"You come to pay respect, you mean?" She says.
Of course.
She says, "Well, he doesn't take visitors, I'm afraid, but I can certainly convey any message you wish." "Brother," she says with like a sarcastic tone.
Is it safe to talk here with the werewolves and the birds and everyone following around us talking, listening?
She laughs and says, "Safe for me. As for you, that remains to be seen.
Well,
Much depends on what is said."
I'm gonna level with you, Lidu. Stuff's stirring up in the city, and they're trying to involve me in politicking, being a gangrel and all, but, the prince is kind of worried about all of what you guys are doing in here, and, there's a lot of talk about this Mike Williams fellow, too. I'm sure you know him.
She shakes her head like back and forth, but not in denial, more like she's sort of laughing at some kind of inside joke. And she says, "What do you care of Michael? What business is he of yours?"
Well, I don't, but I don't want the good name of the gangrels to be besmirched, and I don't want them to be wiped out here in this city, And I'm saying, things are getting dark, it's dark days, and things are going nuclear, as it were. And, have you ever sent Michael in to the prince, to go get educated about the Camarilla and all that? Like, as is tradition?
He laughs and says, "I embraced him because I thought for a moment he might be a wolf, but in the end he returned to me like a puppy dog."
Well, all puppies need to be taken to the vet, and that's kind of what we need to be doing. We need to take him to the prince right quick. And I'm gonna try to use my charisma on her if that's allowed, and
Sure.
it's in the best interest of all of us. Gotta take dogs to the vet every once in a while, get them checked up, and make sure they're taught right.
Go ahead and roll your charisma.
All right, so I naturally have 5. I'm going to. What's the difficulty actually?
We're gonna say that if you're what is your goal exactly?
I'm
And if
trying
you
to
can,
get her to like me enough to listen to the reason that she needs to do things the proper way.
I mean,
Otherwise-
ideally, you can also, you don't necessarily have to, but you can also role play by saying something and then roll your charisma as well, in that statement. But you can also just roll a charisma check.
Well, I mean, that's what I've been trying to tell her. I've been trying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I understand,
Can
yeah.
you go to the vet? And
Gotcha.
And, you're responsible for this Mike Williams. You sired him, but he needs to learn how to play ball, and he's got to do that at the Prince. That's just how things are done. You know that.
She kind of pauses and smiles and says, "Responsible." She laughs and says, "I'm responsible for nothing and for no one. You call yourself a gangrel, but you speak like a child of the city. When was the last time you truly hunted? Are you even really one of my blood? Or are you just some lapdog of the Camarilla, sent here to put a collar around the neck of a wolf?"
You be talking about hunting. Let's go, girl. Come on. Let's have some fun.
So go ahead and roll your charisma check. We'll say there's a difficulty of 8.
All right, I'm gonna use 1 blood point just to make enhance my charisma. Make me a little bit more likable and stuff. Maybe a little bit easier in the eyes. However I'm doing this. So
Okay, so you spent 3 blood points so far.
4 technically.
4. What's your current blood pool then?
6.
Okay. So you're at the point where you're beginning to feel hunger.
Oh,
Feral
we're
and
talking about
familiar
going
hunger.
eating. So yeah, and I have 5, so that's 6. And you said the difficulty was what?
8.
All right, let me roll that there. And 2 successes. I got a 9, 8, 7, 5, 4, and 2.
So you try to put on your Western charm and imply that you and her should go hunting together. And she looks at you and smiles and rises to her feet and says, "Very well. Hold on for a second." She says, "You say you will hunt, but what is your prey?"
What do you got to hunt out in these parts? You know these parts best. Hey, let's form a hunting party. Let's go get anything you want.
She looks at you and sort of shakes her head and says, "The people of the city sleep early, and few of them venture out at night. These are not prime hunting grounds for this time of night. However, if you..." Sorry, I'm kind of stalled here. Let me recalibrate. Okay, so She agrees to go hunting with you. You know, she charisma check passes. She smiles and says, "Very well, but you will lead, and I will follow." And she stands, and the two dogs come up and stand on either side of her, on her right and her left hand. And she kind of reaches out and puts a hand on the back of both of their heads and looks at you expectantly.
I kind of asked her too. I'm just like, are those werewolves or are those animalism? Or you know what I mean? Like, are those your pets?
She smiles and kind of chuckles and says, "These are Snow and Ice. They are not my pets. They are my pack. But they are no werewolves."
That-
Garu.
That is so cool. Can I pet them?
She smiles and says, "I wouldn't recommend it."
All right, I'll take your word for it, but I am impressed with you, leader. Have two fine hounds like that with you to go hunting with. That is, man. I've had a old beagle that was a good hunting dog, but man, ain't nothing like this. This is unbelievable. I'm impressed. Color me impressed. All right, so which way are we headed though? You said I'm leading. I kind of look around. What do I see?
Well, you're in the middle of this path that's winding through this relatively dense wooded area covered in trees and so forth. So the path only goes in two directions: straight ahead, deeper in, or back out the way you came.
Okay. What is my gut feeling? Which is better place to go? Like for finding prey, or I'm gonna just ask her too. You know, since we're kind of carrying along pretty good, it's just like, where's that puppy of yours, Mike Williams? Too? Is he around these parts at all, or?
She smiles and looks at you and says, "What am I, my Childer's keeper? He is a wayward son. I've bored of him already. Tonight I am hunting alone, at least until you came along."
Fair enough. Well, you know, I remember seeing some nice houses down the path. You know, it might be a little bit too close to home, but I bet we could probably rustle us some grub around there. And so I start heading back towards where we had seen those residential houses.
Okay, so you begin heading back the way you came. I'm sorry, guys. I got kind of thrown off because I wasn't expecting you all to like split up into different directions.
Well, okay, so maybe I should, because yeah, my plan is to like kind of meet up with them, and hopefully they can hear these conversations. At least Shad can, if he was listening.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
It's fine for me. I've just been reading my spell list.
I'm chilling.
You're splitting
Okay, so
up from Litu?
No, she's in tow behind me, her and her two dogs, and we're leaving like further out. You know, we're headed more out of the deep forest where I met her at.
I see.
And as far as what I do with her, I don't know the plan, to be honest. Like, we could like capture her and you know, try
You
to
guys
find out.
you guys are hunting, so hunt something.
All right, I guess that's what we'll do.
So anyways, you exit the witchy path back into the residential area with the street lamps, you know, spaced apart, and the houses, you know, upscale, nice houses. And on the pretense that you're going to go hunt something, whether that's true or not. And yeah, I mean, it's essentially up to you how you're going to proceed, I suppose.
Yeah, well, I am a bit peckish, and I do kind of want to win her over a little bit, so maybe we can, you know, make this a little bit easier. So yeah, I guess we're gonna go towards the houses and, you know, see what we find.
Okay. Well, you approach the next house, which is a fairly large house with white painted walls and sort of a rustic style with some like natural woods and stuff, and a large deck. The lights inside are all dark. There's no indication that anyone's actively awake inside. And you've approached the nearest house.
Inside of the truck, I'm gonna say this is taking far too long.
I agree.
Let's go for a drive. and I just turn the keys in the ignition and take off and start cruising around the neighborhood nearby.
Okay, so you begin driving around the roads, right, which go around the outside of the Wildwood Park area as well as through every back lane of each section. So you begin driving, around the perimeter?
Yeah, we'll do a perimeter looking for any signs of Cogliostro or the other Lead 2 or Michael, the birds, also distancing ourselves from the fire, and then making it through the neighborhood too, on the east side of the park or whichever side of the park it was.
Yeah. While he's doing that, I'm gonna say to her, because everyone checks their phone all the time. I'm gonna say, let me see exactly where we're at, and I'm gonna open up my phone. I'm gonna, close the call with him, but at the same time, I'm gonna click share my location. I'm gonna quickly check a map of where I'm at.
He laughs at you and says, "A gangrel playing with his phone, pretending to be a hunter. Cute."
I ain't used to these parts, and anyways, so we keep scouting out the houses. I mean, does this one even look worthwhile, or?
Well, it's nighttime, right? It's 1:30 a.m., so the houses are dark. Presumably people inside might be asleep.
Right, this first house here, do I have any inkling that's inhabited? I mean, is there, does it look like there's normally people in and out, or they I mean, you can tell if a house has been stayed in,
Yeah, I mean, your impression is that most of the houses here are occupied by sleeping, in most cases, residents of the neighborhood.
Okay.
Litu is sort of still looking at you with a strange, curious, but skeptical look.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and I don't know. I don't know what I should do. I should just try to, go in or whatever. Yeah, I'm gonna look for cameras and stuff, see if there's any got blink cameras or anything anywhere.
You don't notice any cameras or security systems, or
Okay.
at least no indication of them.
Well, I'm gonna kind of investigate and see if maybe I see an open window or a screen door or something that might be open. And it is. Nah, it's May. It's not too. Is it still May or is it June or July in the game?
It's still June.
Okay.
The late June.
Well, I kind of look around and see if there's anything.
All right, so you do notice that on the ground floor, the windows are cracked open. They're, about at your head height, and they're not large openings. There's just a screen, and they're halfway open to let the air in, basically.
Okay, and what kind of vibe do I get from this house? Do they look like middle class? Is it a drug house or
No. All the houses in this neighborhood are upper class houses. This is a relatively expensive and desirable neighborhood for people to live in. Sort of exclusive in a way.
Okay. Well, I'm just gonna go. What'd you say? Sorry.
What did I say?
Yeah, about about what I saw, how to get in. Sorry.
Well, I said there's some windows open on the ground floor, right? Cracked open to let air in, essentially.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go up and try to, get in through the window.
Okay, so you force your way in the window physically. You don't need to roll a strength check or anything. You're literally able to just kind of climb in, rip the thing, but you're gonna have to roll some kind of stealth roll to do it quietly.
Okay. Now, can I roll my dexterity plus my stealth? Would that make sense?
Yes. Yeah. So you're attempting to do this silently, climb in through the window, and break it open if you have to, but not make noise. So you're going to need at least we'll say two successes at least on an 8.
On an 8. All right. Let's see here. I have 3 successes. I have a 10, 9, 9, 6, 3, 3, and 2.
Okay, so you're able to rip open the screen and crack the window open without making much noise, and climb in agilely through the window. You have to kind of jump up and haul yourself in, and you pull yourself into what appears to be somebody's kitchen. Well, it is somebody's kitchen, and there's just an ordinary domestic suburban kitchen.
Okay. Well, I reach out my hand and get her in through there as well, so she's in there with me.
So you turn around and reach out your hand and realize that she's disappeared. She's nowhere in sight.
Well, don't that just beat all, I say. Do I have any instinct of why she left?
No, you just, you climbed in the window and she was behind you, but when you turned around, she was no longer there.
All right, well, I'm going to continue in the house. Do I see anybody in there?
You don't see anybody in the kitchen, and as you continue, you see a living room with a television that's turned off, 2 couches that are black leather, and then you see a couple doors that are closed, which you assume could be bedrooms. There's also a bathroom with the door open and the lights turned off.
Well, I'm gonna look in one of the bedrooms, see what I find.
Okay, so go ahead and roll another stealth check to creep into the bedrooms quietly.
Difficulty?
Again, we'll say at least 2 successes on an 8.
Nope, I failed that.
Does it tell you the rolls?
Yeah, 9752211.
1-1. So 2 critical failures. So as you are starting to walk towards the bedroom door, you start to hear a loud barking noise from inside one of the bedrooms, and then you hear like a man's voice kind of groggily being like, "Shut up." And the barking continues inside the room. "Shut up." And you start to hear movement from inside the room and a light turn on. "What in the Sam hell are you barking about?" And you hear people sort of getting up inside the room.
Okay. I'm just gonna wait outside the room and ready in action to grapple them and feed as soon as they come out.
Okay, so the door opens and what appears to be a middle-aged man, somewhat overweight, Caucasian, wearing pajama pants and no shirt, who's like opens the door, and as soon as he does so, a dog, a medium-sized brown dog with like flat ears, is just like barking and snarling at you like frantically, and the man sees you with like shock in his eyes and says, "Who the hell are you? What are you doing in my house?"
I just go ahead and I try to grapple him and feed off him, or
Okay.
I'm not even worried about the dog.
Yeah, go ahead and roll, I guess, whatever, strength press brawl, if you want to try and grab him just by pure force and feed on him.
Strength plus
and he'll
brawl.
oppose you with a strength of 2.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's just an oppose, so I don't need difficulty.
Well, we'll say that every 7 and above, or in fact, theirs would just be a 6+, because this guy's out of shape and not any kind of a fighter. So go ahead and roll.
5, 6. All right, so I'm doing. All right, so I've got 2 successes. 10, 9, 8, 2, and 1. So that takes out one of my successes.
So you're easily able to grab the man as he seems to be sort of panicking and freezing. He's just overwhelmed with what's happening. So he barely puts up a resistance with his thrashing. And you grab him and wrestle him to the ground and sink your fangs into his neck and begin to feed. But as you do so, a woman wearing like a nightgown, also overweight, with like curly blonde hair, comes to the door and sees what's happening and just starts screaming frantically at the top of her lungs.
I'm going to go ahead and shoot her.
Okay, go ahead and roll. Well, so you stop feeding to do that?
No, can't I be like feeding on the ground, just kind of like reach up and bam, shoot her?
Well, I suppose you could attempt to do that, sure, but it's going to make it a more difficult shot if you're not even like aiming, but you can still do it.
Yeah, no, I'm aiming, but like I'm kind of, reaching over.
Right. I'm just saying it's a more complex action to feed and shoot her at the same time, but you're capable of doing it. So anyways, you take what gun out of your pocket?
The Colt. The occult revolver, old faithful.
Okay, and you're going to shoot this woman, so go ahead and roll, I guess, dexterity plus firearms with the difficulty of, we'll say, I guess 9, since it's sort of like a trick shot of sorts.
Hey, I have a trick shot is actually my specialty in firearms.
Okay.
Just putting that out there.
So what does that mean in mechanic terms? Do you know?
Mechanic terms, it means you basically have like 1 automatic success against it.
Okay. Well, that being the case, for you as a master marksman and old, veteran of the Mexican-American War, it is a trivial matter for you to whip out your Colt and fire, but nevertheless roll your roll to see how the shot goes off.
Difficulty 9?
Yeah.
All right, let's see this. And ooh, damn, I actually failed that. 10, 8, 8, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 3, 1.
All right. So although usually, you would have made the shot because you're feeding at the same time and kind of distracted, your shot goes wild and the woman screaming like intensifies further, and she kind of like runs back into the room and slams the door, and she's like screaming from inside, and the man is like still on the ground, paralyzed by your embrace.
All right, so I'm gonna. Did I feed enough off of him or no?
Well, you haven't really had it time to yet. You've absorbed maybe 1 point of blood.
All right, so I'm just gonna lick his wound closed, and then I'm gonna shoot him basically in the head, point blank, or maybe not in the head, but I'm just gonna kind of like throw him away, walk, and shoot him.
So the dog, first of all, is savagely like kind of biting your leg, but it's not a big enough dog to be like doing too much damage. But it's like ripping at the pant leg of your right leg as you're feeding on this guy. So you're putting your gun to your head and you're shooting the guy?
Yeah, I'm gonna shoot him and the dog. I might even grab a second gun to shoot the dog.
Okay. Well, you're not gonna have to...
I healed that wound of his, though. You know what I mean?
I see. Okay, so you put your gun to the screaming man's, or not the screaming man, the sedated man's head, sedated by your bite, and you shoot him inside of the head, and his brains and skull shoot all over the carpet. And you follow up by executing his dog. The screaming gets even more loud and frantic from inside the bedroom. And also, you're going to have to lose a point of humanity.
This is botched.
To lose a point of humanity.
Right. Did so.
Okay. So as you execute this callous action, a part of you inside, hardens and grows a little bit darker as you execute this innocent man and his dog.
All right, I'm gonna go shoot down the door and get the wife too, but I'm gonna, try to feed on her fully,
Okay, so again, we're going to assume that she's not strong enough to stop you from kicking the door in. So you kick the door in, sending her sprawling back on her back, and she's like holding up a hand over her face and like turning her head away from you and like hyperventilating.
All right, I'm just gonna drain her and heal the wound, whatever you got to do.
Well, you didn't take any wound.
No, from her. Like how like when you
can lick the bite wound closed.
Yeah, hide
the. Okay, all right.
Well, human, the kind cops when they see it, they're like, "Oh, that's a vampire bite."
This is sort of an overweight, panicking, not effectively resisting woman. So you're able to jump on her and you drain her dry of her blood, gorging yourself until she's dead. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get those. I don't know what would my character like know what is to do.
Well, I mean, it's up to you, right? You decided to break into this house and feed on this person, so I'm not sure what you're asking.
Yeah, I don't know.
I decide to call Newell.
All right. Well, I'm feeding on her. I get a phone call and I answer.
You can't answer a phone call while you're feeding on somebody. It doesn't make any sense.
You're mumbling.
Well, I turn it on and it's like next to me. I put it on speaker.
Okay.
Hey Noel, just checking in. Where are you? We haven't seen you. I've got Shad here driving around. We were hoping we could spot you, but and she kind of just pauses because she can hear just the faint sound of
Yeah.
gulping. Oh. Oh, okay. Is that the screaming I heard and the gunshot?
I speak up and I say, what are they doing? They drinking blood?
Shut up. She, like
Okay, so
rolls
I
back
need
in.
to know what Newell is actually doing here, right? You're still actively feeding on this person, right? So
Yeah.
how many points of blood are you trying to take?
Um.
Like, in other words, are you trying to kill this person by draining all their blood until they die?
Well, I think that would be suspicious, right? So I'm just going to take, enough that I know will not be suspicious when the coroner finds her.
Okay, well, you specify
Whatever.
a number of points between 1 and 10, essentially.
Well, I think yeah, like 20% and they won't die. So maybe I'll take 2 blood points out of her. Is that how it works? I'll take 2.
Okay,
for
I mean,
blood?
you can take 2 points of her blood without killing her, but I thought you were going to kill her.
Well, I don't want to make it suspicious for the coroner. So,
Okay,
and
all
then
right.
I don't think they're going to miss, maybe she was thin blood. Maybe she donated some blood. I don't know.
All right. So
So-
you can take, well, say you drink three points of blood, and you can add that to your blood pool.
Right, I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna, lick the wound clean, and put her out of her misery, and try to get the hell out of there, and pick up the call with the streamia.
Okay, so I'm to understand that you shoot this woman in the head or something. Just be specific about what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm gonna shoot her like in the heart.
Okay, so again, I'm not going to ask you to roll firearms because she's an easy target, and you're a master marksman. However, I am going to say you lose a second point of humanity for this second
Enough.
callous murder. So you're already so far committed to this and the blood on your hands that you callously shoot down this middle-aged woman in cold blood, leaving 3 bodies and
Don't you get a-
copious blood.
Don't you get a conviction roll to see if you maintain your humanity?
Well, my storytelling discretion on that is like, how can you be maintaining your humanity if you're committing like just abject, murder in cold blood? Like, I mean,
We'll lawyer it after the game.
well, yeah, I mean, if you want to roll conviction and see if you can save it, we'll just say the difficulty is 10.
The difficulty is 10. Hey, I will try
Yeah,
that.
but you have to lose at least 1 point for this action. I'm not
Okay.
gonna say
Well,
that.
I'm gonna try for the second one, and the reason I'm trying to steel myself because, like here, I didn't want to be here. I didn't want to get involved in this, but I'm gonna go ahead and try to roll the conviction just because I'm in my head like this isn't me. I'm just hunting. Like I'm not like I'm trying to hunt deer here. So all right, so I'm gonna try this, and I failed that, so it didn't work.
So you failed your conviction roll.
Yeah, I rolled an 8, a 5,
Yeah.
and a 5.
Yeah, what is your humanity score right now? Do you know?
After that, it's 5. After I lost 2, so I had
Okay.
7 to begin with. I lost 2.
Yeah,
Alright.
humanity is your conscience or conviction, and plus your self-control or instinct.
Mm-hmm. So I had 4 and 3. That's 7, and now I'm down to 5 humanity right now.
Okay. All right. So you have executed everybody in the house.
Yep. I try to
clean it up.
clean up as best I can. Talking to Streamia.
And the
Clean
truck stops in front of the last scene location
And I
on communication.
I just want you to know that I flipped over couches and stuff and tried to make a mess, like pretending like I was looting the place.
Okay, so you start like smashing stuff and throwing stuff around, and
Mhm.
you find some cash and some jewelry, and maybe you take that.
Yeah, I'm
as
gonna go
your.
and grab jewelry and cash.
Sorry to make action for you. And what are you saying, Shad?
Nola would hear his huge 450, the unmistakable sound of that beautiful. Is it a 12 or is it still an 8? 8 Hemi
Probably a
engine,
12. I don't know.
the B12 engine rumbling.
This is
outside.
2027. It's a 2026 model, so yeah, it's in the future. It's got 12.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, anyways, Nolo, you start to hear in the distance the sound of sirens approaching, but they're still pretty far away. You can tell, but you can hear them. You can hear the sirens. And Shad, what were you saying? Did you do
You
something?
can hear he can hear his truck outside of the front door.
All right. Well, I'm gonna
Okay,
go ahead
so
and get in the truck.
All right, so you flee out the back door, and the truck is pulled up, I suppose, behind the house in the back lane with the door open.
And we take off.
All right. I get in and I say, apologies. Well, actually, I'm gonna say, apologies. I was, I'm kind of shocked at how botched that was too. I'm a little rusty, as it were.
I don't see Lee 2 or Michael Williams, and
Yeah, well, she ran.
those sound like sirens in the distance.
Mm-hmm. That they are. Yep. Like I said, that was kind of a whole botched thing. It was pretty messy, and she ran off. I don't know where she was. She was supposed to go hunting with me, and next thing I know, she flakes on me.
You tried to trust her?
Well, she gave good vibes.
Well, that's fine. How did the meeting with Cogliostro go?
Never saw him.
Oh my god.
I see. Well, I guess we'll have to find an alternate path to accomplish our mission. You seem well fed, and so am I, but how about you, Lucy?
Oh, I'm good. I had some blood this morning.
So, are you guys driving away? I'm assuming as all this conversation is taking place.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so who's driving the truck?
Shad.
Okay, do you have any points in drive, Chad?
I do not.
Okay, well, I guess just roll dexterity then for a driving check to try and get out of here, and away from the sirens which are approaching. You want to lose them, essentially. I mean, they haven't necessarily found you, right? But you're trying to evade them. Evade pursuit. Get out of here quickly.
I know you can
Difficulty.
spend blood points to raise attributes, but can you spend blood points to raise skills?
I'll be right
No.
back. I gotta go to the bathroom.
Okay. Pool 3, difficulty. What's the difficulty?
We'll say it's only 6 because you're trying to get away, but depending on, they haven't seen you yet. Failed. Okay. So you're driving away from the murder scene as quickly as you can, and you're able to get away before the sirens arrive. They stop in front of the house, right? And you hear, or what? I guess you're gone from this point by now. But nevertheless, unbeknownst to you, meaning I wouldn't say it, there may have been a witness who saw you exiting the scene. But regardless, you get away, and you're driving where?
Yeah. Perhaps we should follow up by a visit to the Pyramid nightclub. Any objections?
Works for me.
Yeah, I guess so. That's fine.
Okay, so what do you guys think? I mean, I know this was an awkward session, but should we pause it here and just refresh for the next session, or do you guys want to continue?
I think we should continue, and that way, Sid will have a chance to do something too, or whatever.
Wherever we end, we should end apart in case, we shouldn't be stuck. Like at the beginning of this session, if only half the people showed up, we couldn't have had a session. You know what I mean? So we should be firmly in our home. If that's just saying that we did that at the end of the session, or continuing the session, I'm fine either way.
Yeah, I see what you mean about having everybody apart so that we can play independent campaigns or campaigns with less people. I'm just gonna be honest, it threw me off because we spent a long time getting the party together, and I was kind of expecting you to stay together, and then you all split up, and then if you all split up again at the end of the night, then that's fine, but you can just reconvene the following morning, I suppose, if you agreed upon a spot. Yeah.
We all got each other's numbers and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm back.
Plan at one point was hopefully they would come with a truck and we could catch Lee 2 and take her in, but that she ran off and that didn't work out.
Yeah, to be honest, I kind of botched the storytelling with your interaction with Lee 2. should have taken that in a different direction.
Are we done today?
Well, that's what we're just discussing.
Let's continue.
Yeah, I think we should continue if you got time.
Okay.
If you
So
want to. Do you want to?
Yes, I'm just
Okay.
kind of shocked by how that all played.
Do we
out,
want to
so
take
I'm,
a 5?
processing it.
Do we want to take 5? Take an intermission?
Just take
Yeah, let's take a little
quick
bathroom
intermission.
break.
Yeah, let's do
We can talk
5
about
minutes.
it.
Meet
take 5
back
minutes.
at 7:30 kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, we can stay here and
Yeah.
talk. But sorry about that, guys. I just
You're good.
Well, honestly, Shogun, when we were playing Mage, like this is sort of the issue you come into with this style of DMing. Is like when you're doing all improv, sometimes you're gonna flub it a little bit, and the story's gonna get a little messy, and you have to do a little bit of cleanup. You know?
I
yeah.
think we're fine. There's a witness. They can follow up with us at the nightclub or not, and we've got another lead to do on a mission, which is figure out about King Rat. Plus, there's like some sort of conspiracy going on against at least me, and more people may be wrapped up in it with all this Michael Williams and Gangrel apostasy from the Ivory Tower going on. So
Yeah, no, I
there's plenty of
apologize.
other
It's
plot
just
hooks
like,
we can improv through.
yeah. When I was thinking in my head about it, I was, in advance, I was kind of running through it where you guys went in as a group, and then when you all immediately like split up and went in different directions, it just kind of threw me off. And then, anyways, it's all good.
Well, we didn't want to go in together because of the domain thing,
Right.
but
Yeah.
I had too many cookies.
Did you have milk at least?
Fuck no. Who drinks milk?
I was smoking cookies.
It's fucking disgusting. Ugh.
well, I drink milk, but I would never in a million years boil a lamb in its mother's milk.
Okay.
The Bible says not to.
Proud of you for not doing that.
Okay,
It's one
I'll
of
be
the
right back.
easier commandments to follow.
You're right.
Yeah, so we'll go see what's going on at the nightclub.
Yeah, I think we're waiting for a dude to come back or something.
All right.
All right. So what's going on?
Are you
Yeah,
there,
I'm
dude?
Yeah.
Sid. Is Sid there, though? I think we're waiting for Sid Rogers.
And see, I don't think it's that bad, especially a botched thing. Like, I think it's totally fine. Like, this is all very salvageable, even the situation. And that's like in the edge of their, and maybe this will play to our advantage because if people are getting killed on the edge of their hunting ground and stuff, that'll bring police activity to that area, and there's all kinds of ways this can go. And honestly, the Litu, she sounds like one of those crazy party girls that would pull shit like this. She'd just disappear on you, and
I thought you guys were gonna hunt an animal together, or like a werewolf or something.
oh, I thought we were gonna hunt people.
I thought you were going to hunt people, yeah, but I wasn't expecting it to go quite like that. But that's okay.
Yeah, no, that was a very messy, disgusting, B&E and killing people. And
Well, yeah.
and Newell's busty at that because he normally doesn't do that. He's actually trying to impress these city folk because he doesn't have to do that where he's from.
You there, Sid? Just let us know. And I guess you can't hear me anyway, so.
All right, let's ping Sid and be like, let us know when you're here.
He had to go poop, probably.
Well,
He's pooping. You rolled your dice in the wrong channel, Shad.
oh,
Come on, dude.
I gotta get into that channel too. This is outside of character, whatever, but I'm curious, what was your plan with the bonfire?
to distract Cogliostro so that he could face Litu and Michael Williams alone.
Right. I see. Well, you did get his attention, I guess. At least deduced by the the raven, sorry.
Mm-hmm. And I guess that those two humans were like his thralls. I don't need to know that, but...
Yeah, well, you walked away from them, so you didn't find out who they were.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and we did find out that Litu has cut Mike Williams loose, and she takes no responsibility for him, and she doesn't even hunt with him. She's kind of a bad mother.
True.
Bad Cyrus. So,
Same.
and that's what happened, right? Is she made him a vampire without telling the Camarilla or anything? And is that what's going on?
Yep. She didn't get approval for the turning. Is that what it's called? The embrace.
Yeah.
And then
Got to get it registered with the king or prince.
the reason it seems like it's some kind of trap is because it was like the power structure was pissed off that happened because it's not supposed to happen. And so I convinced Litu to give Michael to me to train, and we spent about a week together. And then I took him to David, the sheriff, and David's like, "All right, you're fine." Then I told him to do something, and somehow David found out about it, or the power structure found out about it, and they're like accusing him of doing some crazy like masquerade breaking thing when all he did is like not do something a vampire from a different clan told him to do. So like somebody has to know that happened, like there was some spy going on. And it seems like politically what could be happening is like they actually are pretending to want the gangrel in the Camarilla, but are actually like seeking to remove them because of some like fake casus belli, if that makes sense.
Okay. And you're back, Sid?
Did you, by any chance, say that in character, or is that out of character? Is this what you're saying?
That's out of character.
Yeah, this
Okay.
whole conversation has been out of
Is that out
character.
of character? Yeah.
So wait, are you back, Sid? No? Yes?
Yeah, I'm back. I'm back.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. So you guys, he jumps into the truck. You take off as quickly as you can. You get out of the area, and you get back into more familiar parts of the city, leaving Wildwood Park and the unexpected bloodshed behind you. After creating the fire and making contact with Litu, you escape as quickly as you can, and you head towards the Pyramid nightclub. But as you guys are on the road, do you have any dialogue with each other immediately?
I turn the radio on. No, I'm just kidding.
I go ahead and I tell them about how Litu has kind of cut Mike Williams loose and what I saw and how they've got a bunch of animals working for them, because they've bonded with them, like crows and wolves and stuff. And also there was some werewolf activity there for sure. So that was not a lie.
Werewolves, interesting. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that she wants nothing to do with Michael. He seems like a bad apple, so at least we know he's not within her jurisdiction right now and he's off. But it might be harder to track him down.
Sure. We should ask around at the pyramid and see if anybody's seen him.
That's a good idea. There might be some people there.
Shoot, I'm game. There's that pretty girl there, Sarah. Like to go talk to her again.
That's my sister.
That's your sister?
Sarah's all right.
She gave me tickets to the art gallery.
Lucy just kind of rubs her forehead.
Sid, you're a student at Cascadia University, is that right?
Yep.
You should consider taking my class one of these semesters. There's plenty that you can learn about your seeming interest in dreams and what ancient cultures have thought about them over time.
Are you a history teacher or something?
I am, yes.
Well, you
More
know
of a
what?
researcher, but I teach a few classes.
Maybe I will then.
Sure,
Sid,
and in the
remind me.
meantime,
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to invite him to, study my works, either stuff that I've written or things that are in my library.
So, Sid, with your book that you received from Elizabeth Fairbrook, what did you do with it? Do you have like a backpack with you, or are you just holding it?
I assume that I've been sort of thumbing through it. I would have started with the page she had bookmarked, but I assume that I've been just sort of scrolling, like flipping through it basically the entire session so far. Like while we were sitting in the car and Shad and Newell were doing their shenanigans, I was just reading from the book.
Which I would have asked about, so we can do that now, I suppose.
Do we pull up at the?
We're assuming you're still on the road for the moment.
Well, I
not a
assume
long
I'm in the
trip.
back. I'm gonna go ahead and tell Sid to hand me that bag next to him.
Is it my bag?
No, it's a black bag. It's one
Oh,
of mine.
okay.
It's in the back.
Yeah, I hand it up to him.
I go ahead and put on a pair of pants while I'm in the back seat and a new shirt and kind of wipe myself down a little bit. Freshen up.
Okay, so you change your clothes and wipe any blood that may or may not have got on you away as Shad and Sid are talking.
On the subject of books in my library, what is it that you've been pouring through?
It's some weird book on fairies that Lucy's mom gave me.
On fairies, you say? The Fae.
Well, yeah, the Fae, yeah. Those things.
Have you ever met a Fae before?
I don't think so. By the way, Shogun, if I slip up with the truth thing, forgive me, because sometimes it's really hard to like come up with a twist on the truth that isn't just going to make the game way more obtuse. You know what I mean?
That's okay. You can role play it however you want.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a fairy. If I have, I didn't recognize it.
Oh, I have.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, and
Did
they're
they kidnap you?
much. No, I didn't let them kidnap me. I saw them across a field in the hills of northeastern Europe some time ago. Snow-covered hills. They stood out like a sore thumb. Their skin is purple and they're huge with large fangs, and they eat wild beasts but carry weapons like men. Nothing like what you may have seen on the television.
He sort of looks at you with like a sort of grumpy expression on his face. And he's like, I'm not sure about that.
Oh, you disagree?
Well, that just doesn't seem to be what I'm reading here.
What does it say?
Well, I've just been thumbing through it. I haven't been reading it that in depth, but something about they came from a place called Arcadia. Arcadia existed in something called the Dreaming, which I assume is probably just the place you go when you dream, right? And they have all sorts of different forms. Maybe you've seen a fairy, but I don't think that's necessarily illustrative of of every type of fairy. They seem to have different types that exist.
No, I've never seen a fairy before. That's just an old ghost story. Or, at least I didn't see a fairy before.
So as you guys are having your conversation, you arrive at the Pyramid Nightclub. You can hear the loud thump thump of music, the lights coming out the door, the usual line of people waiting to get in. The current time is now 3:30 a.m., but that's still early by the standards of this particular club that goes all night. So you pull up and park in the parking lot of the Pyramid Nightclub. It's now familiar to some of you.
We've been here before, right? Like, have I been here before? Or... No, I've just been to the art gallery, I think. Okay. Yeah.
Well, if you live in town, it's a pretty popular place. I've been in here before and have some friends, but can I skip the line again with this big crew, or do we need to wait in the line outside?
You
It's
can
literally
skip
my
the line. Yeah, so you're recognized, and Lucy is even more recognized. So you guys can enter through the VIP entrance and bypass the line. The
Alright.
security waves you through and smiles, as usual.
Well, after we enter, I'm going to, or after we enter, I'm going to kind of dispense with searching for Vitae and Kine and just start kind of asking people that might know whether they've seen Michael recently or here even.
Okay, so are you going to ask any particular person or kind of people, or?
Yeah, like if I can see those two girls that ran into Michael, that me and Michael ran into twice, or like someone else, like in the VIP section that I might know from the Ivory Tower. Really anybody that haven't spent some time here before might already recognize him, but not people who like are total strangers. I'm not like pulling out the picture I have and going, "Have you seen this man?" I'm just like, "Oh, hey, I remember you from last time. And you remember that
Do
guy?"
you have any
That
do you have
kind
any
of stuff.
points in like investigation, something like that?
Let me check.
While he's doing that, I'm going to be looking if I see that Armani guy here at all.
I have 3 points
Okay.
in investigation.
'Cause that'd be a little awkward if he was here.
All right. So you look around at all the VIP sections. You do not see Armani there. You see some people there that you have not seen before. Again, they're wearing, like everyone here, really high-end clothing. In this case, like really very well-tailored, like black suits. And there's a man sitting there with like short black hair, fairly muscular. He's not looking at you, and he's there with a few other friends. People are drinking. Bottle service is going on. But you do not see the gentleman that you saw last time who gave you the business card. So, Chad, why don't we say you're going to roll your investigation plus perception to just try and find anybody who might know anything about Michael, looking through this crowded place, which is, packed with people dancing and moving around. So you're trying to see if you can find anyone or anything that will help you.
What's the DC?
Let's call it 7.
Failed.
All right, so you look around, but unfortunately you do not notice the two young women that you met twice before, nor do you see your friend Sarah Fairbrook anywhere. You don't recognize the girl who's on the stage playing a set, but she's got long black hair and is a short, person. It's not Sarah. You don't see her at the moment. There's security guards, as usual. There's, active clientele, people sitting in various VIP booths, well-dressed, etc., but you don't notice anyone familiar to you.
What's everyone else doing?
Go for it, dude.
I think I'm gonna just go up to the bar and get a drink.
Yep. I'm right there with him. I order a glass of wine and take a seat as I also look around the room, just seeing if there's any sort of people that I either feel called to approach / notice could be intel for Michael or what's her face? I can't say her name.
Does this bar serve strawberry daiquiris?
Yes.
Okay, I got a strawberry daiquiri.
Sid and Lucy go to the bar and sit down, and you're served a glass of wine and a strawberry daiquiri. And Lucy looks around, and you notice a friend of yours, actually, and one of your family's servants, one of the security guards, a man named Sean, tall, strongly built man with light brown skin, who's of yours that you recognize, and is also one of the bodyguards and servants of your sister, Sarah Fairbrook. You also know this bartender because you've been here many times, and you know that he also works for your sister, as do most of the staff here in one way or another. But these ones are closer to her, essentially.
She gets her drink. Ordering blood, of course. It's already a given that that's what she's drinking. She makes eye contact with the bartender and kind of lets out a sigh and just asks, "How's your night been going?" Just striking up casual conversation with him.
He smiles and says, "Good, busy, the usual. How have you been? It's great to see you again."
Also busy. It's good to be busy. I don't really like much downtime, but any unusual patrons?
He laughs and says, well, always. Hold on a second, I gotta turn that down a bit. He says, always. What particular unusual are you looking for tonight?
The gangrel kind.
He smiles and says, gangrel, we don't get the beast kin in here often. I've never known them to frequent the kindred social scene. They like to stick to themselves for the most part.
Alright, fair. I thought it was worth an ask, but has my sister been in tonight?
He nods and says, yep, she's in her VIP room, and he points over to a private room door. It has 2 security guards outside of it. It's closed.
Perfect. I might stop by and say hi to her. Is she entertaining any guests?
He smiles and says, you're always welcome.
Thank you. She looks over at Sid as he's holding the most feminine glass you've seen. Are you content? You have your drink? We're gonna go visit my sister, and let me grab Newell and Shad. And she
Okay, I just like shove the rest of the daiquiri into my face, and then like sort of cradle his head. He cradles his head as like brain freeze.
She gently pats his head before looking around the room to see where Shad and Newell are.
I'm just following along.
Okay, you were with us?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Shad.
I am on the kind of dance floor-esque area around it, looking for people selling drugs so I can possibly find the Setites. If you're like motioning to me, I'll just like wave for you to go on to go on ahead.
Okay, cool. She does so and sees his hand signal, and she kind of turns and motions for Newell and Sid to follow her as she goes back towards the VIP room.
Okay, so Sid, Newell, and Lucy move towards the VIP section, and Shad heads to the dance floor. So we'll go with Lucy's story here. So anyways, the security guards nod at you respectfully, and you open the door and enter Sarah's private VIP lounge, where there's a smaller set stage with one person on it playing for a group of about 6 people in here. And you see your sister in the blood, Sarah, kind of lounged on a couch with her arms out on both sides, and on either side of her are 2 other young women about her age, and they're kind of leaning up against her. And she's got her arms around their shoulders, and she's looking up at you and smiling and says, Lucy, wonderful to see you. What brings you here?
Likewise, sister. We were just stopping by. Got ourselves in quite the predicament. We're just searching for any odd people. How's it been tonight here? I know from the bartender it seems that you guys have been quite busy.
He says, there's been some unusual characters. The Bruja are here in force tonight, and word is the Nosferatu as well, although some of those face changers are not always so obvious. The Nosferatu are masters of illusion, after all.
Of course.
I hear you've gotten yourself into quite a series of pickles. some of the rumors I'm hearing are so fantastic I can hardly believe that they're true. Is there anything I could do to help?
Oh man. Lucy kind of walks around and takes a seat as she herself is just processing the events of the past day and a half and how her life was quite simple before getting involved in all of this.
Just wondering, how much longer are we going to be playing tonight? It's getting pretty late for me. I can keep going for a bit, but it's getting pretty late for me.
Maybe we can wrap it up in the next 10 minutes or so?
Is everyone cool with that?
Yeah, we can wrap it up. Yeah, we can even wrap it up now if you guys want. And
Well,
we'll just
let's try and find a better place, right?
Okay.
If we can. I don't just want to say, hey, can we quit now and then immediately quit?
Yeah.
Like, we can get to a more natural stopping point.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
I'll be honest, I kind of feel like I'm lacking direction here. As far as where to go, we're following what Mother has told us, but I can't control the outcomes of some circumstances and actions of other people, so we're still on the hunt for certain characters, and Lucy's careful with her language because she doesn't want to reveal too much information, especially since there's other people in the room with them. She sits back and just waits for her sister to respond.
She says, Michael Williams, according to all of our intelligence, disappeared into Wildwood Park a few days ago and hasn't emerged since. He's probably scrounging around in there somewhere. Cagliostro and Alitu also have not left the boundaries of their domain and have not been showing themselves in public. Furthermore, I need to tell you that the prince is extremely concerned about this chain of events. He's been told that there was a flagrant display of supernatural magic in public, and fortunately, the witnesses were taken care of by other agents of the masquerade. But combined with the recent murders in Wildwood Park and reports of some kind of arson, any attempt we've been making to try and defuse the situation seemed to have backfired. We're not sure what to make of this, but it certainly doesn't bode a peaceful resolution.
Yeah.
Of course, you're not to be held responsible for this, but I'll do what I can to insulate you from any fallout, to keep you informed of everything I hear. But as for Michael, Litu, and Cagliostro, all we can tell is that they're somewhere inside of their domain.
Alright, yeah. It seems that we are gonna have to find a different tactic to approach the situation. I think our approach was a little weak.
Is there anything else you need to know? Anything else I can give you to help?
Lucy kind of looks over at Newell and Sid. An invitation to ask, that this is their opportunity to ask if they have any other questions or thoughts.
No, I can't. No, I can't.
That's
say
fine.
anything.
Yeah.
So
Maybe not.
why don't we, I guess, jump to Shad, who's gone out on the dance floor looking for anyone selling drugs. So just roll a perception check with the difficulty of 7. You'll need 1 success.
Okay, 1 sec. Perception, isn't there another one that goes along with that? Awareness?
Yeah,
I don't have awareness anyway. I'm gonna spend a blood point to raise my perception, and I get 1 point per blood point, but I can do it a number of times based on my.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna use 3 blood points to raise my perception, because I'm really on the hunt here to try to track down some clues. So I'm tapping into the old blood pool. Dice roll Tool 5, difficulty 7.
Yeah, just one success.
Success. 2 10s.
Where'd you do that at?
Oh, bot interface, sorry.
That's okay. So 2 10s is a critical success. So your hyper focus, your vision sharpens, your hearing, your sense of smell. You look around and you notice a woman wearing like a white cocktail dress with like black hair sort of up, like tied up in like a bun of sorts at the back of her head. And she has a serpent tattoo on her neck going up the right side of her neck. And she is, at this current moment, talking to some people in one of the VIP sections, and you notice like a furtive exchange. She smiles and like is talking to him, but hands him something, which he quickly receives and like puts into his jacket in a surreptitious motion that you nevertheless notice.
My eyes focus and I take a sharp inhale through my nose and start pushing through the crowd towards the woman. And I just transfer my character sheet over, so I'm appearance 5, etiquette 4. And I kind of grab her by the wrist near the tattoo and say, just the snake I was looking for. What's your name?
He like looks at you and startled, but doesn't try to pull her arm back. And she says, "My name is Jessica. How can I help you?"
I need what you have, but a lot of it. I suppose that there's somebody else I should talk to that you're working with?
And she smiles and says, "No, I'm self-employed, you could say. What is it exactly you're looking for?"
Well, candidly, it's not so much a what as a who. Can we take a few steps off the dance floor and speak more privately?
He smiles and says, "You're rather rash, but yes, I'm interested in what you have to say." And she indicates to the people sharing the VIP section, she kind of waves her hand and they kind of stand up and go out of leaving you alone in the VIP section. They go out to join the dance floor.
Well, truth be told, Jessica, I say as we sit down together, I have no interest in drugs, as you probably are well aware. They don't have much of effect on me. But there is someone that I'm looking for. Actually, 2 people. And I figured a neutral party like yourself would be the best. Or perhaps your clan could help, but I'm looking for a member of the Sabbat.
She looks at you with sort of surprise in her eyes and says, "I have been told by my masters that you have taken a valuable prize that was ours by right. Now you come to me looking for favors. Intriguing. Who is it that you seek?" That was the, you asked her that?
Yeah.
He says, "A rare prize, a delicacy of sorts, and one that played a part in important plans that are not mine to disclose. Nevertheless, one of the lapdogs of your Camarilla snatched from our grasp something that belonged to us. And now you travel with her in your entourage and come asking me for favors. I'm simply curious, who is it that you seek?"
He's called himself King Rat. I've even seen him here in this nightclub. He seems to be recruiting members of the Camarilla and neutral parties to the Sabbat. And I would like an introduction, or a second meeting with him.
You wish me to orchestrate a meeting between you and a member of the Nosferatu?
That's right.
Tribute.
And I'm coming to a neutral party, like you and your clan, because this can't be known by the Ivory Tower. For potentially obvious reasons, and then for some not so obvious that I don't wish to disclose right now, but can it be done?
He smiles and says, "It is a trivial matter. There is nothing that my clan cannot deliver for the right price. The question is, what do you offer in return?"
Well, you said I have something of yours that you find valuable. The Fairbrook sister? Is that who you're referring to?
He is the one who took our prize away from us. Certainly, we have an interest in her as well, but I'm speaking of the one she took from us, a man by the name of Sid Rogers.
Oh, the child? You can have him, and I can deliver him tonight.
She looks at you like thoughtfully and says, I will accept your terms. I can easily broker a meeting with King Rat, but I will require the return of our prize.
Done. You tell me where and when, and I give her my information on my university business card, which includes my cell phone and office line.
She smiles and says, in our custom, a verbal agreement is as good as a written contract, but she holds out her hand to shake on the deal and says, I accept your terms.
And I will accept the deal when payment is delivered. Make no mistake, I intend to deliver the child, but we must meet King Rat. Unless that happens, this deal was never spoken about.
So she agrees to the terms. I'm sorry, guys, but we're just going to have to stop here for now.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So thank you guys for playing. I'm going to kick the bot. We're going to assume that you guys go back. Well, anyways, we'll just pause it here.
Okay.
So you guys can all
I'm gonna get kidnapped again. Fourth time.
We'll see. But you guys can each give yourself 6 experience points for playing. And thank you for playing. I'm sorry that was an awkward session. That's my bad. But let me recalibrate and we'll come back to it maybe tomorrow if you guys are free. Or
What's tomorrow,
you are
Wednesday?
available.
Did you say 6 points?
Yep.
Yeah,
6.
you can have 6 points. Yeah.
I won't
There
be
wasn't
able
as
to.
much like play, but that's okay. That wasn't your fault.
I thought it went fine.
I appreciate that.
I mean,
But,
things aren't ever going to go the way like you hope in your head, but no, I think everything's salvageable and fine. Yeah, we might have some awkward times where like, all right, I'm not sure how to proceed, but yeah, I think you're doing good.